Hello, everyone. Hello. Sorry, I should probably have mentioned that when I go live, there's a little bit of a delay. So sometimes it takes like a minute or two to catch up. I'm just going to go into the Facebook group and make sure that I'm actually live. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Let me turn down this volume here. And I think if I link into here, I can see the comments. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hello. We're live. Turn that off. Okay, we're live. If you are here, please pop into the comments and say hello. Let us know where you are joining us from. I am so thrilled to be here with such a large and incredible group. You guys have already, before boot camp even started, been supportive, been really embracing our community crushes clutter, our judgment-free zone, all of the aspects of community that I am so adamant about. You guys have been incredible. So a huge thank you to you for showing up as the best version of yourself in this boot camp. That is what we love. We love. Hello, San Diego, Texas, Chicagoland, California, Colorado. Hello. So if you didn't grant permission for StreamYard, if you didn't click the link, I can't actually see your name. So it just says Facebook user. I can see some names, but as we go forward, if I'm answering questions and I just refer to you as Facebook user, I'm sorry. I am going to try and be looking on my phone also to kind of see the comments because I can see your names on there, but there's a lot to negotiate when you do these live videos. I have a couple of short announcements before we dive into today's lesson. Hello. Yes. Hi, Beth. Hi, Mary. Hey, Heather and Val and Anka and Clover and Barbara. Hello. I am so excited that you guys are here. Did you love yesterday's lesson? Did you have, I've read so many comments, so many aha moments. So many people have said they never heard about that trifecta before. That's because I totally made that up. You would never have heard of it unless you've been following me, right? But that is I think the crux of really why we have so much clutter in our homes today. And once we start to open up our eyes to all of the different reasons that we have clutter and just let go of that shame or embarrassment or whatever it is, it's not helpful. It's not necessary, right? We're here to make progress, and that's the most important thing. Hello, Milwaukee, Miami. Hi, Marcia and Sam. Hello. You love the toilet analogy, Teresa? Awesome. I always kind of question putting that one in, but you're never going to forget it. So we have another good quote today. It's not disgusting at all, but it's another one that's going to stick with you. Okay, so without further ado, let me get into my short announcements, and then we will dive right into the lesson, and there will be time after the lesson for Q&A. So if you have questions, just save them to the end. Hello, San Diego, Ohio, Philadelphia, Mississippi. I love that we are all over the country here. I love it. Okay, number one, a week from today, next Monday at 1 p.m., we are going to have a transformation celebration. So we are going to gather up all of your pictures, your before and after pictures, and we are going to go into the Zoom room and we are going to celebrate all of your success. In order to put together a slideshow of everyone's before and after pictures, right after this, I am going to create a Facebook post in our group. I'm going to pin it to announcements. If you don't know how to find the announcements, just ask and somebody will tell you how to find it. I'm going to pin this post to the announcements. It's going to be the transformation picture post. Please post your before and after pictures there. And try and post them together, so the before picture and then the after picture right underneath it. That will make it a lot easier for everyone who's working behind the scenes to grab the pictures, put them into a slideshow. The slideshow is not going to be shared anywhere outside of this group. I mean, we're going to put it on a private YouTube link, but nobody will be able to find it. And then we're going to share it just with this group and in our celebration. So that's the before and after pictures, transformation celebration. I promise you there will be some space in your house that is transformed at the end of this, or your mindset is going to be completely transformed. And to have true success with decluttering, you need to transform both your space and your mindset. You cannot have one without the other to be 100% successful. So it's really important to embrace those mindset shifts. And as they come up, share them with us because they are so important to this journey. Okay. If your screen freezes, you might need to reload the video. Sometimes that happens. We use a tremendous amount of technology to deliver these lessons, to run these boot camps, to run these Facebook groups, to send you messages, Facebook Messenger messages, text messages, emails. We try really hard to do everything we can to make sure you're getting all the information, but we rely on tech, and the tech is perfectly imperfect. It's always important to keep in mind how much we are doing and how much success we are having with the technology and how little control we have over some aspects of it. So if I freeze up for you, just go ahead and refresh the page. That usually fixes it. Try and get onto Wi-Fi. It usually is a little bit more stable for delivering these videos. And if all else fails, everything is recorded and you can watch this later on. So that's the tech note. Okay, 2 more transformation pictures. We're making a post, so we'll have all of our transformation pictures there. That was the first note. The second note, we are going to choose a winner at the end of this video, somebody who's going to win on one-on-one coaching, an hour-long coaching session with one of our clutter coaches. All you need to do to win anything this whole entire week is just be active. Be active in the group, be sharing, be posting. The more that you show up, the higher your chances are to win a prize. We are giving away at the end of bootcamp week 1 full scholarship into Clutter Boss Academy. Clutter Boss Academy is my signature program. It's also like there's nothing else like it in the entire world when it comes to decluttering programs. So every other decluttering program that you have seen focuses on very little bits and pieces. I believe in a fully integrated approach. When you are decluttering, you need access to a lot of different experts. It's not just about cleaning out your closets. It's about emotional attachment. It's about difficult conversations. It's about clearing off your counters, and then you can suddenly start cooking again. You're like, well, I don't even know where to start. So in Clutter Boss Academy, we have a team of coaches across a variety of different disciplines. We have a nutrition coach, we have an accountability coach, a consistency coach, a mindset coach, a parenting coach. We coach on everything, and you have access to those coaches for an entire year, plus a community, plus a million resources. We are opening up the doors to enrollment in Clutter Boss Academy next week. One person is going to win a full scholarship for an entire year. So just continue to be active. And every day we're giving away a 1-hour one-on-one coaching call with one of our coaches. So lots of prizes, because prizes create motivation. And do you guys know the number one thing that everyone has responded? We sent out a little survey in Facebook Messenger. What's your biggest challenge with decluttering? Across the board, the number one thing that you guys answered was lack of motivation. So we really, really strive to create the external motivation, because if the internal motivation isn't there, then at least we have some external motivation. And prizes are great, but other boot camps and everything, they give away actual stuff. I can't give away stuff. That goes against everything that I believe in, right? So I am not going to give you something to bring into your home. I'm going to give you actual coaching. And that, so those prizes are a form of external motivation. Another form of external motivation is our community. Communities crush clutter. They keep you connected. They keep you motivated. They let you know that somebody cares. So we do everything we can to tackle that motivation and provide the external triggers that you need. And then once you start to see success, that's going to build more of the internal motivation that you need. So we're going to keep this cycle moving. Yes, everyone needs motivation. Everyone needs motivation. I do have a podcast on motivation where we talk about how motivation goes on vacation a lot, and we can't control that. But we do everything we can across all the programs that I run to really provide that motivation and figure out strategies that work to keep you moving forward. Because I know that none of this is a one-size-fits-all approach. And that's really kind of a problem with a lot of what you might hear from other professional organizers. It's their method. Well, my method is like everything. It's strategies. My method is finding a strategy that works for you, because I know personally in my journey, there would be 1 year or 1 month or 1 day where something worked really well, and then the next day it just didn't. So having a, quote unquote toolbox full of different strategies that you can just pull from whenever you need to is what is going to, it's a layer of what's going to, get you to the end of this journey. I guess at this point, I should also mention that if you feel like there is no hope for your situation, I want to reassure you that there have been people who have worked through our programs in our communities who started off completely without hope, and after several months or a year made tremendous changes in their life and if they're in their home. There is no such thing as a hopeless case. I have seen everything. I have worked with thousands and thousands of clients. I have seen everything. You are not a hopeless case. I promise you. We will get you from point A to point B. We believe in you. I personally believe in you. I know that if you're here, you're not hopeless, period. You are working as hard as you can to make changes, and you just haven't landed on the right thing yet, but you're here now. So if there's anything you take away from this, is that there is a glimmer of hope. I promise you. And you're just going to have to take my word for that in the beginning. Okay, the last little bit that I want to talk about before diving into today's lesson, for the first time ever with this boot camp, we are offering some implementation support. So not only do you have the opportunity to watch all the videos, be part of this community, starting on Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there are opportunities to sign up for a 2-hour decluttering session with one of our coaches in a small group setting. They're $20. They're called, quote, coach on call sessions. And basically, you pay $20, you sign up for a 2-hour time slot. During that time, you're in a Zoom room with a very small group. We're capping them at 20 people each. And you have the opportunity for that whole 2 hours to declutter, ask questions, figure out where to start, just really have that coach there to support you and guide you, and be in the company of other people in our community. So you're not decluttering alone. When I was working in people's homes, that was one thing I heard all the time was, I feel so isolated, or I'm so lonely. I just want somebody to do this with me. And the coach on call sessions are a great opportunity for that. We are going to have the link to sign up for those starting tomorrow. We're just making sure everything works on the back end, because again, we've never offered this to such a broad, big, huge group with so many sessions. So we are working on that right now behind the scenes, and we'll have the link tomorrow. Okay, so let's see. There's a lot of comments already. I'm going to get to the comments after the lesson, and there will be time. We're going to do a full hour so that we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So without further ado, the workbook. Let me just say something about the workbook. So we heard your feedback on the workbook. A lot of people cannot access the PDF. Okay, first of all, the workbook is extra. It's also new this boot camp. If you can't access the workbook, it's totally not the end of the world. You do not need it to be successful in this program. We have turned the remaining workbooks that we have. Just this morning, we had Joanne, who helps out behind the scenes. Joanne figured out how to make it so that you can fill them out without printing them out, so you can actually type into the boxes. So we're just updating all of them. We're going to get the links to you. We're also going to provide them inside the group as JPEGs, as pictures instead of PDFs. I guess I didn't realize how many people don't have access to an actual computer and would just be doing this on their phones. So that's our solution. We worked on it, and we are going to share all of that into the group after that. So, okay, hello. We're going to move right on to our lesson for today. During the lesson, I cannot see your comments, so I won't be able to respond to anything while I'm actually doing the lesson. But as soon as it's done, I'll come back and I'll scroll through. If there is something that you love, make sure you hit the reaction button. We love to see reactions. It really helps me know what was relevant and what wasn't. So as I'm going through, if you have an aha moment, give it a little heart, drop a little, fire emoji or something into the comments, so that really helps me know, okay, this worked out really well. This was something really important. So Okay, here we go. Space like you have never seen it before. I'm going to just close some of these things here, and we are going to add this tab. Just give me 1 second. It takes a little bit of time for me to share my screen. There we are. Okay, now let me know. Oops, we're at the end of the slideshow. We want to start at the beginning. We want to start at the beginning here. Just give me a little indication that you can see this and still hear me before I continue on. It takes about 10 seconds, I think. Okay, I think that you guys can hear me because I can see the text showing up on the screen. All right, here we go. Space like you have never seen it before. This is the irrefutable case for decluttering. Now, at the beginning of all of my slideshows, I have a legal disclaimer. I am providing you guys this information for your personal use only. It may not be downloaded, redistributed, or used for commercial purposes. Please respect that. This is truly represents years and years and years of really working hard to understand all of this. If you are a professional organizer and doing this boot camp, please reach out to me. I would love to work with you and help you incorporate what I share into your business. I really believe in working together and reaching a broader audience. My goal with this business is to get this message to as many people as possible because I know the tremendous weight that clutter is in our lives. And I know how much your life can change once you break free of the overwhelming burden of clutter. So my goal is to reach as many people as possible. I would love to work with you if you would like to become a professional organizer or if you'd like to implement this into your business. Just reach out to me. Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. Now, let's think about space. When we think about space, we learned yesterday in yesterday's lesson that we have been sold this idea that we can create more space in our homes, which is actually absurd. We can't create more space in our homes without putting an addition onto your home. I want you to start to think about the space that you have in your home as a parameter in your life, just like you think about time and money. So, for example, if you commit to doing something and you don't really have enough time to fully commit and give it your all, the result is mediocre and you feel stressed. The same thing, if you purchase something and you don't have the money for it, the result is that you're in debt and you're feeling stressed. Space is another one of those parameters. If you don't have space for something and you bring it into your house, the result is clutter and you feel stressed. We are very used to saying, I don't have time to do this. I don't have money for this. And if we could just get as equally used to adding space into that equation, I don't have space for this, right? Just think about space as a personal parameter. Everyone has a different amount of it, and it doesn't matter how much space other people have. It doesn't matter how much time other people have. It doesn't matter how much money other people have. If you don't have the space for something, you bring something into that space that doesn't fit, you're going to have clutter. So just think about your house and your space and how much space you actually have. When I'm talking about space, we really are talking about the existing storage space in your house, the closets, the drawers, the stuff that is designed to store items. So in this picture here, and I just pulled this from the internet, the designated storage space is this little dresser over here, and then this basket right here. That's the total amount of storage space in this room. You'll notice that floor space is not storage space. And that's one of the little Jessisms, right? That's one of my sayings that is going to stick with you. Floor space is not storage space. Oh, here's my slide on floor space, not storage space. Floor space is something that our society really, really undervalues, but it is critically important to our mental and physical health. When you have clear floor space, number one, you can clean more easily. Number two, you can actually utilize that floor space. You can play on the floor. You can exercise on the floor. You can sit on the floor. Children and pets love using the floor. If you have a project and you need to spread out, you have all of this floor space to utilize. Floor space is so valuable. And I want you to start looking at your floor space as a super valuable commodity in your life. Value it higher than the stuff that you have on top of it, right? So floor space is more valuable at the end of the day than whatever we are storing on top of it. And when you clear floor space and you get that mental sigh of relief, you really begin to understand just how valuable floor space is in our lives. The goal with decluttering is to live comfortably within your storage space. So this is one of my clients that I worked with. And as you can see on the left here, this client was living outside of her storage space. Her storage space in this closet is the hanging racks, the shelf, and interestingly enough, she did not have a dresser anywhere in her bedroom or anywhere in her closet. So we did decide that we would put a small dresser. You can't really see the entire picture in here. And until then, she had a couple of boxes that she already had that we used to store some items that she was going to put into her dresser. But when this floor space was clear, this feels so much better. So looking at this picture right now, I want you to look at the left picture and focus on the feeling that you have when you look at it. Now look at the right picture and focus on the feeling inside of you. There's a huge difference. One feels overwhelming, exhausting. It feels almost like failure. The other one feels like a sigh of relief, right? So before, the floor space was being used as storage space, the items on the shelf were not easily accessible. And after she's living comfortably inside her space, she can see everything that she has all at once and she can access it all at once. Getting dressed in the morning is really a joyful experience and not a bad start to your day. So when we think about decluttering, there's really two types of decluttering. There's like the big event, like I have to get through all of this, I've got to do it, I've got to get the bulk of the stuff out. And then there's the routine event. And we tend to think about decluttering always as a big event, right? So it's this never-ending cycle. It piles up, we have to deal with it. It piles up again, we have to deal with it. We never think of decluttering as the routine event, something that we have to do really regularly because we always have stuff coming into our house. So when you think about the routine chores that you have in your life, every day you have to do dishes because every day you eat food. Every day you have laundry to do because every day you wear clothing. But nobody ever thinks about decluttering as something that we have to do fairly regularly, which doesn't really make any sense because every day we're bringing stuff into our house. And therefore, every day we need to also be thinking about bringing stuff out of our house. It's that concept of flow. So we're very, very focused on the big event, but nobody ever talks about routine maintenance or thinking about this as something that we have to do pretty much, regularly. So we put all of this energy into completing decluttering as the big event, but it's this huge event. We don't train for it. We don't know what our goal is, and we never consider that it needs to be a routine household task. So we feel like failures and the entire cycle repeats. Imagine if you trained for a marathon, or imagine if you ran a marathon without training for it. Not only did you not train for it, but you didn't know how long the marathon was, and you had no idea where the finish line was. I mean, that's basically how we treat decluttering. This big event, we don't train for it. We don't know where the finish line is. We're not prepared for the event at all. And so it just becomes this endless cycle where we have to keep doing it over and over and over again and never feel successful. In the end, we're exhausted, frustrated, and overwhelmed, and we're trying to fit 2x amount of stuff into X amount of space. or we're trying to fit 3x amount of stuff into X amount of space. Remember, we all have a defined amount of space, storage space in our home. And if we are trying to fit 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times that amount of stuff into that space, no matter how organized you are, no matter how many clear boxes or bins or beautifully labeled containers you have, 2x will never equal x. It's an equation that fails every single time. Here is an example. This is, more stuff than comfortably fits into this closet. It doesn't matter how well organized you make this, it's never going to work. And this is an example of living more within your space here, right? So this gets a lot closer. So this time, I want you to try decluttering with the goal in mind, train for it appropriately, and I have a brilliant method to help you do that. We're going to do it differently this time. We are going to find a strategy that works to get through the big declutter. That big declutter does have to happen, that event. It doesn't have to happen all at once, but we do have to dramatically reduce the amount of stuff that we have in our home. And then you are going to know what you're working towards. You're going to understand what your goal is. Your goal is to live within the amount of storage space that you actually have. And along the way, we're going to shift our mindset. Decluttering becomes just a simple routine household task. It's an easy and natural part of your daily life. I see I left the E off there. I will fix that. But shifting your mindset to see your stuff differently, to see your space differently, to see your mental health differently is really important to this entire thing. And as you declutter with this actual goal in mind, your mindset starts to naturally shift. Let me know what you guys are thinking so far. Hearts, fires, give me something, some feedback here. And Connie, I'm going to get to that next, I promise. So are you ready to start training for decluttering? Decluttering is decision-making. It is all decision-making. And when we start to think of decluttering as simply decision-making, we really want to start with the very easy decisions first. So there is this game that's called the Min's Game. It was created by the minimalists. They're two guys that have a podcast and books and documentaries. I am not suggesting that you become a minimalist. I think that's unrealistic for most Americans. But they have this game called the Min's Game. It's a pretty brilliant way to start practicing decluttering. The Min's Game typically lasts for a calendar month. So on day 1, you declutter 1 item. On day 2, 2 items. On day 3, 3 items, etc. At the end of the month, you've decluttered, I think, like 450 items from your house. So we modify the Min's Game for Clutter Bootcamp. And this is going to be a little different. If you've done my boot camps in the past, we're doing it a little bit differently this time. We're mixing it up. Today, I want you to declutter 5 items. Tomorrow, 10 items. Day 3, 15 items. And if you continue to go all the way to next Monday and declutter 40 items, then you will have decluttered 180 items from your house over the course of 8 days. But we are going to start small and easy because, again, this is just about decision making. So we're going to find the easiest items to let go of and make those decisions and then repeat the next day. So, tips for success. I want you to start with emotionally easy items. Do not start with memorabilia. Do not start with anything that has an emotional charge. Start with things that are really, really simple. It doesn't matter what space you start working on, although if you have one particularly cluttered area that has a lot of non-emotional items, you could start there. For example, you could start in your pantry because there's expiration dates on all of your food, and it might be easier to let go of something that has expired, right? That's an easy decision. It's expired. I'm not going to eat this. I can let it go. You might want to start with the stack of junk mail. probably not a lot of emotion attached to junk mail. If you can get 5 pieces of junk mail out of your house today and continue working through your junk mail for 8 days, you'll have 180 180 items of junk mail out of your house by the end of this boot camp. Start with anything emotionally easy. Do not fixate on clearing out an entire closet, going through a ton of clothing. That might be way too emotional a spot to start. Emotionally easy, rapid decisions. We're practicing strengthening our decluttering muscle with this exercise. The other part of this, to be successful, really commit to getting these items out of your house as quickly as possible. The whole point of decluttering is moving stuff out, right? That's the other side of the flow. We want to decrease the flow in, increase the flow out. If you decide to declutter it and it remains in your house, you're not really decluttering it, right? So be it, getting stuff into your garbage pail, taking it to a donation center, whatever you need to do to move the stuff out of your house, actually get it out. That is going to aid in your success. And I like to say the next spot that you get it to should not be your car, right? How many people have driven around for months with decluttered items in their cars? That's not the goal is to get it to where it actually needs to go next. So if you're not going to make it to a donation center, that's okay. Go ahead and just focus on removing stuff that is actually trash. Or post something for friends to come and pick up. Figure out a way to get it out of your house as quickly as possible, because that's when you're actually freeing up the space. And that's when you start to see a difference and feel a difference. So your homework is to increase the flow of items out of your house and move 5 items out today. I have not yet posted the daily thread for today, but I will post it after this call. You can post the pictures of your 5 items going out. If you're inspired to do more than 5 items, don't let me stop you. Maybe you want to do 5 bags. Make this work for you, but definitely do not go all into the point where you can't do anything tomorrow, right? Don't give this so much energy that you're exhausted, you're emotionally worn out tomorrow, because the key to success here is consistent action. So set yourself up for success, knowing where and when you need to stop. So 5 items today, and then continue to stop the flow of items into your house. If you feel like purchasing something, go ahead and write down how much money you would have spent. Move that money into a savings account. Get yourself that cash. Start stockpiling your money instead of your stuff. And tag your clutter buddy if you have one. Okay, that was today's lesson. Let me pull myself back up on. There we go. Hello. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them into the comments. There's a little bit like a 10-second delay here, so I might not see them. Let's see here. I might not see them right away. Does your pantry count as 1? No. So if you remove 5 items from your pantry, that would count as 5 items. Does that make sense? Okay. Thanks, Sam. You can count whatever you want as 1 item. If it is 1 sheet of paper, it is 1 sheet of paper. If it is 1 sock, it is 1 sock. The point is to get into the habit of moving stuff out of your house and to choose emotionally easy items. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. If you can only get 5 socks with holes out of your house today, you have gotten 5 socks with holes out of your house today. That is a win. That is a win for you, and that is the most important thing. Never compare yourself on this journey to anyone else, because we have all walked our own walk. We all come into this with our own life experiences. So there is no judgment here. We know how hard it is to move stuff out of your house. That's why you're here. And that's why we're starting with the easiest of the easiest. You will be surprised. It sounds like, oh my gosh, 180 items. There's no way I can do that. There is. We're practicing. We're getting stronger at decluttering, because decluttering is decision making. It's something that you just need to get stronger at. Okay, let's see. Stuff out instead of in is a win. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Only compare yourself to yourself. Thank you, Heather. Exactly. Let's see. I'm just looking through these. I've already committed to redo my craft room. I have given myself 1 year. Now I'm going to tackle the house, garage, yard, shed this year along with my craft room. I love it. Set yourself up for huge goals. Why not? Liz, who is a clutter boss, Liz says, I started last year with travel brochures at the beginning of the pandemic. It felt so good. It can literally be anything. It doesn't matter. The point is that we're moving stuff out. It is totally doable. Let's see. Yes, we are here to start, restart, re-rail. That's another term that we use in Clutter Boss Academy. Re-rail, it's so important. If you derail, it's okay. We're just going to re-rail. Do it for you. Jean, loved 2x does not equal x. Yes, right. Decluttering is simple math, really, when you break it down. And clutter is decisions deferred. So we just got to practice making decisions. It can feel really uncomfortable to make a decision, or we start with something that's really emotional and it's a hard decision to make. So then we just stop, right? And there's a different way that we can do this. I want to start in my bedroom, but there is a mix of stuff. I don't want it all mixed with memorabilia. Okay. That I'm trying to see what your name is here, but okay, I'm having a hard time with names, so sorry. So the person who wants to start in your bedroom, if there is a lot of memorabilia, okay, we call memorabilia a decluttering landmine, and we find decluttering landmines all over the place, right? So it's like in the back of your closet, it's in your top drawer, it's like anywhere that there is something emotional, it's a decluttering landmine. The best thing to do with decluttering landmines, with your memorabilia, with your highly emotional items, is to have one spot in your house where they land so that they don't get in the way of the rest of your decluttering. When it comes to those very emotional items, it doesn't matter how much of it is that you have. Like if you have a lot, that's totally okay. The point is that right now, when you have memorabilia and when you have highly sentimental or highly emotional items mixed in with everything else, then that stuff has control over you because it stops you in your tracks. You're afraid you're going to find it. You don't know what you're going to do. So when you find it, so you don't start. So we want to take back that control. We want to have a plan. When I come across memorabilia, I'm just going to put it over here in this box. And I'm not going to worry about that right now because that's not my focus. That doesn't matter right now. When you are ready to deal with the very emotional items or the very sentimental items, you're going to do so in a very mindful way. It might be that you need a therapist while you're dealing with going through that stuff. So when you're ready, you decide, okay, I'm going to tackle this summer. I'm going to make sure that I have my support lined up. I'm going to find a therapist that I love because I know that this is going to set me for a little bit of a spin, right? It's going to make my life a little wonky. I'm going to have a friend that I can talk to that I trust. I'm going to schedule a massage because I know it's going to be very emotional and very stressful. So you're going to take back that control. You're going to know where all of that stuff is. And when you are ready to deal with it, you will be able to deal with it knowing that you have all of this support lined up. So yes, absolutely. If you have stuff on your floor in your bedroom, take the memorabilia, put it in one spot. Don't deal with it right now. Get your floor clean. Cindy, any suggestions? Cosmetics, lotions, toiletries, how do I dispose of them? It seems wrong to put it in the trash. These are used items. Okay, so that's a really good question. There's a couple of things that we need to also talk about when it comes to trash and recycling. Number one, the cold, hard truth of all of the stuff that we have in our homes. And this is going to be hard to hear, so I apologize in advance, but it's really important that you hear it. The cold, hard truth is that every single thing that we own is going to end up in a landfill one day, period. That is just the truth. It's nice if we can extend the lifetime of something. Like if we can find some reuse for it or somebody who's going to reuse it, That is awesome. When it comes to recycling, I have a whole podcast on recycling, but I'll briefly go into an overview of that right now. Yesterday's lesson was all about advertisements and how we've been sold certain ideas. Unfortunately, recycling is another one of those ideas that we have been sold that doesn't really hold up statistically. So, of all of the plastic that has ever been produced in the world, only 9% has actually been recycled. The reason for that, and so just think about that for a second. If you took an exam and you got a 9 on it, then you basically did not know most of the information, the vast majority of the information. Of 100 items of plastic that were ever produced, only 9 were recycled, regardless of if all of those 100 items were actually thrown into the recycling bin. The reason for that is that there's like a lot of layers to recycling. Recycling is market-based. And so if there is no market for the recycled materials, it doesn't get purchased and it just gets landfilled. Of that 9% that actually had a market, that was sold to market and was recycled, the vast majority was actually downcycled, which means that it wasn't produced into something that could be recycled again. It turns out that plastic is not the best material for reuse. It can only be made into something so many times before the chemical composition breaks down to the point where it is just going to be turned into something that will go into a landfill. So oftentimes our recycled material gets turned into like park benches or Trex, those boards that you put outside, or it's like the plastic piece that goes on the bottom of a car. None of that can actually be recycled again. It just gets trashed. In 2018, China, which took the vast majority of, China was our recycling market. And when I talk about recycling, I'm very specifically talking about plastics and glass. Metals are reliably recycled, and paper products, it really depends on where you live. Glass is just too heavy in general. So even though glass as a recycled product is very valuable, it's hard to transport it because it's so heavy. So a lot of our glass just gets landfilled. If we don't have a local infrastructure for recycling glass, it's not getting recycled. Most plastic was being sent back to China. It's being produced in China, distributed around the world, and then being sent back to China for recycling. In 2018, pretty much overnight, China said, we're not taking any more recycling from the world unless it is 99.5% pure. And most of because we do single stream recycling and we wish cycle, which means I hope it's recyclable, I'm just going to toss it into the recycling bin without knowing if it's actually recyclable. That's called wish cycling. Because we do mostly single stream recycling and we wish cycle a million things, we cannot actually create recycling pallets that are 99.5% pure material. So like everything in that pallet has to be a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3. And it has to be clean. So if there's oil or food or anything contaminating that batch, it's not pure material. Basically, China stopped taking all of our recycling. So we started sending our recycling to developing nations. We started to inundate markets with recycling. And the cost of recycling started to skyrocket because instead of being paid for a raw material that somebody wanted, we had to start paying for somebody to haul this away. When we started inundating these developing nations with our recycling, they did not have the infrastructure to deal with it. So a lot of that material from like 2019 on has gotten just open air burned in a developing nation or dumped in rivers, which then go into the ocean. So we're just not recycling in a way that we think that we're recycling. I am happy to share tons of resources on this. When I started talking about this in 2018, there was not a lot of like investigative reporting about it. A lot of people didn't believe what I was saying, and I did a lot of research to find out this information because I was wondering, now that China shut down, their recycling, where is this stuff going? At this point now, there is a ton of documentation to support all of this. So this is not just like something I made up. I'm happy to provide, in-depth documentaries and investigative reports about what's actually happening with our recycling. I share all of this to say, if you have cosmetics that are expired, go ahead and toss them into the garbage. They're not recyclable. We're not recycling that much stuff. Let it go without feeling like that overwhelming, like, I can't believe I just did this, I'm a bad person. Because the best thing, this is what I've determined after all these years of doing this work and really talking to people and all of this stuff, the best thing that you can possibly do for the earth is to consume less, starting immediately. The life cycle of any item, there's 5 parts to it. There's extraction, where we take the raw materials and put them together. There's production, where it goes to the factory and it's produced. There's distribution, where we actually send it to where it's going to be purchased. And then there's consumption. So when we purchase an item, it's at the 4th stage of its 5-stage life cycle. We consume it. We only have control over consuming items. We have very little control over the last stage, which is disposal. Once we toss something out into a recycling bin, into a garbage pail, once we take it to a donation center, we just don't know what's going to happen to it. Donation centers toss a tremendous amount of stuff into the garbage also, because we are overwhelmed with stuff in this world. It's just the reality. So if you want to make a change right now, the best thing that you can do is make different decisions when it comes to consuming moving forward. Just think about throwing it out before you bring it into your house. It should just be part of your process of buying something. How am I going to dispose of this? Because it's not easy to dispose of things in a correct, quote unquote, correct way. Yes, easier to let someone else throw it away, so I donate. I mean, I totally get that, right? But we have also been sold this idea that the responsibility for disposal is on our shoulders as consumers. I personally believe that the producer of the item should be responsible for the disposal of it. So the companies and corporations that are producing these items should have that burden of responsibility for disposing of it ultimately. But they don't. They've passed that along to the consumer. They've put that little circle on the bottom with a number that makes you think you can actually recycle this, when in truth, that's just a theoretical number. Like, maybe it can be recycled, but there's so many factors involved in determining what can actually be recycled in your area, that it's just, it's a possibility. And we can't control that, but we can control what we bring in. So, okay. And so, yes. And so somebody here is saying, please don't donate throwaway items. It's a tremendous cost and burden to charities. It's a problem, right? I mean, it's a problem all around. Somebody's got to throw it out. So if you can just let go of that whole idea that I can't throw this out because it's not the right thing to do, it actually is in most cases the right thing to do. And on the other side of this, the positive here, number one, you're making changes moving forward. That you hear this information, you can never unhear it, right? So just naturally your mindset is going to start to shift. Number two, landfill technology in the United States is actually really, really good. So when we toss something into a landfill, we actually protect the environment, we capture the gases that are escaping, and we turn that area into green space after we're done with the landfill. So tossing stuff into the garbage is not ideal, but it's actually better than recycling it if we're not sure if it's actually going to be recycled. We have very good landfill technology in the US. And I can tell you for sure that developing nations do not have good recycling technology. So that, it's all wish cycling, really. Okay. Yeah, our waste company has started putting trash and recyclables onto the same truck. Not sure what's going on there. What's going on is that there is no market for recycling. They cannot sell your recycling anywhere. So they are putting it all into a landfill. So instead of There's actually studies now that show that processing recycling creates more of a carbon footprint than throwing something into a landfill, because we wash it out with hot water. The hot water comes from a coal power plant. We sort it into a different bin. There's more trucks on the road. It goes to a central location, a recycling center, a single stream recycling center. The process to recycle, the machinery that they put all that stuff through uses a tremendous amount of energy. They end up pulling out most of the stuff to go to the garbage, to the landfill. So there's even more trucks on the road then. So I would say feel free if you're not sure. And if you want to spend a couple of minutes, call your garbage hauler, find out what they do. See, if they say to you, we sell recycling at market, ask them, what market? Where's the market? Find out as much information as you can locally. And what you'll probably find out is that it makes more sense to throw stuff into the garbage and to make better choices when you're bringing stuff into your life. Cindy says, shop in your own house or garage. It's a great idea. I always forget what I already have. Yeah, that's the benefit of decluttering and being organized. You know what you have, right? You need to buy less. Okay. CVS has metal bins inside their store near the pharmacy to put expired or unwanted meds. Yes, don't put those down the toilet or the trash for sure. So that type of stuff should go back to the pharmacy. A lot of times, think about where the item came from and then see if there's a resource for taking it back. So for example, metal hangers usually can go back to the dry cleaners. If you have a lot of glass vases, they can go back to the florist. They take those back. Eyeglasses can often go back to your eye doctor or wherever you got the eyeglasses. They will recycle those. Medications can go back to pharmacy. So just think about where something came from and then go back to that source and find out if they have a program for taking them back. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So I'm sorry. I don't know what your name is, Facebook user, but my husband got frustrated when I purchased recycling from our trash provider, told me 4 years ago, it all goes to the same place. I was in disbelief. Such a shame that we can't reuse everything. But unfortunately, it's not just cost effective for those companies who are out to make money. Absolutely. The more you know about the corporations that you're supporting, the easier it is to say, no, thanks. No, thank you. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to make decisions that feel good for me, right? Lions clubs will take your glasses and clean them up. So that's great. Linda, this is a huge area that our government should improve on. I completely agree. I think that the burden of responsibility for all of this, really, there's not one answer. It needs to come down to the people who are producing the items, the big companies and corporations, the government regulating it, and consumers demanding it. So I think that there's 3 ways that we have to approach this. But right now, what we can do is make better choices with what we bring into our life. And it feels great once you can actually do that. Why shouldn't we flush old med? Doesn't it disintegrate? I think that it can upset the ecosystem because the meds ultimately all of your wastewater goes into rivers and oceans eventually. So actually it does mess up ecosystems. Yes, lobbying to get Amazon to stop shipping in plastic. So here's the other thing is every single thing that we buy comes packaged in a million things, right? There's plastic, there's boxes inside of boxes. And so we're bringing in a lot of material that we just can't do anything with. And then we feel bad that it's in our house and we don't know it's a good box. We don't want to let it go. So all part of the decision-making. Okay, another person is saying, please do not donate personal hygiene items that have already been opened. Nobody wants that. Exactly. Right? It's the cold, hard truth. As a professional organizer working in people's homes, I promise you that what you have in your house, every single one of your neighbors also has the same stuff in their house. It's not the case where we don't have things to go around. We have more than we know what to do with. That's the problem. Let's see. Okay. I have 15 large boxes of little girl clothes from birth to 5 years. I've been holding on to these for years. I used to sell children's clothes. My neighbor is trying to get me to donate them to a women's shelter. Why can't I do this? I don't know why you can't do that, but I do know that that would not be the place to start when it comes to decluttering, right? That's too emotional. There's some reason for it, which you will figure out eventually. But the thing I know right now is that that's not the right spot for you to start with your actual decluttering. So a lot of times, and I have a podcast on this also, it's called Decluttering to Your Why. A lot of times we feel like we need to know why we do something or have a behavior before we start decluttering. Try and let go of that. You don't need to know why. Oftentimes you figure that out through the process of decluttering. So you actually declutter to your why. So we don't know why, but we don't need to know why to get started, right? Let me see here. And I will say this is what to donate. Should I donate it? I want to, all this stuff. It can be very triggering because we have really, big corporations have really pounded into us that, oh, what is going on here? Big corporations have really pounded into us that to be a good person, we have to do the right thing when we dispose of the items that they've produced. It's complicated. It's triggering. Everyone has opinions about it. Please do what is best for you, keeping within like some of the guidelines that we've talked about, but please do what is best for you. If you see somebody else throwing out something that you would have donated, please understand that for them, that is the best thing for them to do right now. And they are working very hard to make changes. So anything we can do to not criticize or judge other people's decisions of how to let go of something is going to be helpful. I have noticed that people feel very strongly about this. I have my own beliefs, but I know how difficult it can be to just let go of one single thing. And if you have to put it into the trash, I am not going to judge you on that at all, because I know that you're on a journey. And I would encourage everyone here to also not judge about how other people are letting go of stuff, because the other side of it, hold on one second. We also don't know where people live. And here's another thing that I've learned working across the nation, multiple nations with people. It's if you live in a rural area and there is like no garbage pickup, no recycling pickup, no donation center, you have less choices, right? There are some cities that come and do electronics pickup 2 times a week, right? My city doesn't do that. I can't easily, not that I'm throwing out electronics, but I can't easily let go of electronics with this opportunity every single week. So everybody has their own circumstances, and just focus on you. What can you do? What makes sense for you to get started moving forward on this journey, right? Put on your blinders. Don't look at what other people are doing. Just focus on you. Yes, it's a judgment-free zone. Exactly. Okay, let's see. Beth, I have to share that this is one of my favorite days of boot camp. Love the form. Oh, this is one of your favorite boot camps. Oh, love the form, the workbook, and of course the info. Thanks, Beth. Beth is a boot camp alumni. I think she's been here 6 or 7 or 8 times. I love it. Do we post before and after declutter pictures? Yes. So after this, I'm going to go and make a thread, a Facebook post that is pinned to announcements. If you have before and after transformation pictures, please post them into that thread, an area that is transformed or a mindset shift that you experience. Otherwise, there's a homework thread. So the 5 items that are going out today can go into the homework thread. I'm also going to post that immediately after this video is over. And that's where you're going to post all of your stuff. So let's see here. We need to pick a winner for our one-on-one coaching today. This is so hard. I'm going to go into the group and look at the stats and see who has some very high numbers right now. And I will post the winner of the one-on-one coaching session right after this. So stay tuned for that announcement. We're at our hour. Tomorrow, same format. We're going to have a live video, Q&A afterwards, plenty of opportunities to ask questions. Keep moving forward. I cannot wait to see your 5 items leaving your house today. I know that it can be a huge struggle to let go of 5 items. I honor you for doing this, being on this journey. And thank you so, so, so much for being here. You guys are absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait to see you again tomorrow at the same time. You're welcome, Mary. You're welcome. You're welcome. You guys are incredible. You're incredible. Keep up the good work. Keep up the inspiration and the motivation, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.